You close your eyes and feel the soft hush of ancient winds brushing against your cheek. The night around you is warm, still, and gentle, like a cradle of time itself. Beyond the veil of sleep, you drift into a world where moonlight spills over. Golden sand and the echoes of a queen's laughter linger in the corridors of memory. In this dreamlike journey, you will walk through the life and legacy of Nefertiti, a woman whose beauty became legend, whose grace and wisdom shaped an empire, and whose mystery has whispered through centuries. You will not rush through history tonight. Instead, you will wander softly, pausing to feel the texture of painted walls, the warmth of morning sunlight over limestone, and the quiet heartbeat of a queen's secret thoughts. You are not merely listening to her story, you are living it, gently, step by step. You will see the child running barefoot along the Nile, feel the devotion as she stood beside her king, and sense the hush of unanswered questions that still hover over her memory. This is not a tale of battles or noise. It is a slow unfolding, a tender invitation to rest in history's embrace. Let yourself sink into the rhythm of time. Let the past cradle you. And as the night deepens, so too will your connection to the soul of Nefertiti. You feel a soft breath of air drift through the open window. The stars are low and shimmering, and the night hums with a quiet rhythm. Somewhere in the distance, you hear a reed flute playing a gentle tune. It feels like the kind of night that holds old stories, waiting to be shared. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I'm doing here. And if you'd like, tell me in the comments what time it is for you right now, and where in the world you're listening from. I'd love to know that you settle deeper into your pillow, letting your shoulders soften. You imagine a world of golden horizons and blue rivers, a world where the scent of lotus flowers floats on warm air in the distance. You see a small girl by the edge of the Nile. You feel the cool water lap against your toes as you stand beside her. She is watching the way the moonlight ripples across the surface, her eyes wide with wonder. This is Nefertiti, though she is not yet queen, not yet draped in fine linen or crowned with gold. She is simply a child, curious and alive, reaching out her hand to touch the silver glow on the water. You feel the sand beneath your feet, soft and powdery, carrying the warmth of the day even now in the quiet night. You hear the rustle of papyrus, reeds, the gentle hum of insects, the far-off laughter of women weaving in the village. Nefertiti's world is simple, yet already filled with beauty, a beauty that she feels deep inside, as though the gods themselves have whispered to her. She turns her face to the sky, where the stars hang low like lanterns, and you feel it, too, that sense that something vast and mysterious is always watching, always guiding. You breathe in slowly, the air warm and scented with earth and river, and you let yourself be carried further into her world. You wake softly into another moment, as if the night itself has shifted and carried you forward. The air is still warm, but there is a freshness now, the kind that comes with early morning. You feel a faint breeze against your cheek, and you sense the smell of wet earth after a night of dew. You are still near the river, but the little girl has grown. You notice how her posture has changed, how her gaze now holds not just curiosity, but thought, reflection, a quiet dignity that seems far older than her years. You walk beside her along a path lined with palms. Their shadows sway like gentle arms above you. There are distant voices, women calling to one another across fields, men singing soft work songs as they tend to the earth. The sound mingles with the low murmur of water and the occasional cry of a bird. Nefertiti's feet move slowly over the dust, and you follow, feeling the rhythm of her steps. She pauses by a cluster of stones and runs her fingers over the cool surface. You notice faint carvings, patterns that someone made long before either of you were here. It strikes you that even then, there were people dreaming, creating, leaving, little whispers of their souls in stone. You feel the hush of the morning deepen as Nefertiti kneels, pressing her palm to the rock as though feeling its heartbeat. She whispers words you cannot fully catch, perhaps a prayer, perhaps a secret only she and the earth share. You close your eyes for a moment, and you feel the sun climbing slowly, spilling gold over your eyelids. It is gentle, like warm honey pouring across the landscape. In that glow, you sense the presence of her parents, nobles of a court that hums with ceremony and devotion. You see fleeting images, fine linens laid out in preparation for a ritual, jars of perfumed oils glistening in the light, musicians tuning their instruments in a courtyard fragrant with myrrh. Nefertiti walks into this space, and you follow her steps into a palace where the walls are alive with painted stories. You run your fingers over the cool plaster, feeling the grooves of blue lotus flowers and golden ankhs. There is no rush here, only the slow breathing of time. She pauses before a depiction of a woman offering a bundle of reeds to a goddess. Nefertiti tilts her head, studying the gesture, the curve of the hands, the way the eyes are drawn wide and serene. You feel her, wondering about the lives behind these images, who they were, what they felt, what they dreamed. A faint sound draws your attention. A teacher, an older woman, is speaking softly to a group of children. You sit among them as if you've always been there, listening to the stories of the gods, the rivers, the sky. The teacher's voice is slow, rhythmic, like the tide itself. You watch Nefertiti as she listens, her dark eyes steady, her lips parted slightly as if tasting every word. She reaches out to trace a hieroglyph in the sand, repeating the shapes with her fingertip, memorizing them. You mimic her without thinking, feeling the shapes beneath your own hand, ancient letters that seem to hum with meaning. As the sun climbs higher, the teacher leads them outside. There is music in the air now, faint drums, a flute sighing, melody. You follow Nefertiti to a garden where pools of water reflect the sky like shards of mirrored glass. Lotus blossoms float on the surface, their petals trembling in the breeze. Nefertiti kneels beside one, dipping her fingers in. You do the same, and the water is cool, fragrant with something sweet and earthy. She lifts a petal to her cheek, closing her eyes, as though gathering the essence of this moment to keep forever. You feel a soft swell of emotion, not your own, but hers. A sense of longing, of belonging, of being held by something far greater than herself. She seems to understand. Even now, that beauty is more than what the eye can see. It is a thread that ties the soul to the world, a quiet promise that life, in all its fragility, is sacred. You sit with her for a while in the garden, letting the afternoon light wrap around you both. You hear distant laughter from the palace. Walls, the clinking of jars, the rustle of woven cloth. Everything is alive, but nothing feels hurried. Later, as the day bends toward evening, you follow her to a quiet chamber lined with scrolls. The air is cooler here, shaded, and filled with the scent of ink and old papyrus. She runs her fingers across the shelves, stopping to draw out a narrow scroll. When she unrolls it, you see delicate lines and symbols dancing across the surface. She studies it, her lips moving silently as she reads, her brow furrowed not in worry but in deep thought. You watch her, feeling the weight of a mind that is already shaping itself into something extraordinary. The chamber is so peaceful that you lose all sense of time. Hours might pass, or perhaps only moments. The world narrows to the soft scratch of papyrus beneath fingertips, the distant song of a flute drifting in from some unseen courtyard, the golden light slanting through the window as the sun begins to sink. And then, in that hush, you feel a breeze stir, carrying with it the distant hum of the river. You close your eyes and imagine the water flowing endlessly, carrying reeds, carrying dreams, carrying the promise of a future queen whose name will whisper through centuries. You open your eyes again, and Nefertiti is gazing out the window, her face soft with thought, her eyes reflecting the fading light. You feel her dreams without needing words, dreams of a life beyond these walls, of a voice that might shape the world, of a legacy that might outlast the shifting sands of time. You let yourself rest in that feeling. The day has softened into evening, the garden outside now alive with crickets and the faint glow of lanterns. You feel your own body sinking into comfort, your breath slowing, your heart steady. The scroll remains open in Nefertiti's hands, the characters glimmering softly in the last light of day. She whispers something, perhaps a prayer, perhaps a thought, and you feel it wrap around you like a warm shawl. The stars are beginning to rise, one by one, and the night hums gently. Once more, you close your eyes again, breathing in the soft air, and let yourself drift deeper into her world, where the sands hold secrets and the river sings lullabies, older than memory. And as you do, you feel the story continue to unfold, quietly, patiently, waiting for you to follow wherever it leads. A soft rustle wakes you from a gentle drift of thought. It is not night anymore, nor quite morning. It is that tender in-between hour, when shadows are long and the air feels like silk against your skin. You sit quietly, feeling the polished stone floor cool beneath your palms, and you hear the sound of sandals brushing against it. Nefertiti is older now. You see it in the calm way she carries herself, in the serene line of her shoulders. She moves through a garden courtyard within the palace, and you follow her steps as though you have always walked beside her. Around you, the walls rise high and gleam with painted lotus blooms, golden birds, and drifting ribbons of blue. The images are alive with meaning, but their colors have softened under years of sun. The fragrance here is intoxicating but gentle, sweet resin from the frankincense, burning in shallow bowls, the honeyed scent of dates ripening on nearby trays. You hear the slow murmur of a fountain. Water trickles over stone figures shaped like lilies, and the sound is like a lullaby carried through the corridors. You watch as Nefertiti kneels by the fountain. Her hand cups the water, letting it spill between her fingers. You kneel beside her, imitating her movement, and feel the coolness trickle over your own skin. The water is clear and catches the light of the rising sun, scattering flecks of gold onto her cheeks. She is not wearing a crown, not today. Her head is wrapped in soft linen, and her robe is simple, but the grace in her movements is unmistakable. You feel as though you are in the presence of someone who carries the weight of eternity lightly, as though it were only a bird resting on her palm. She begins to speak softly, words you cannot fully hear, as if she is sharing secrets with the water itself. You lean closer, but the meaning is carried away by the breeze. Instead, you feel the emotion behind it, a tenderness, a quiet hope, and something else. 2. A sense that she is standing at the edge of something larger, something that will change the course of her life. A servant approaches, bowing low, and offers a roll of papyrus bound with a strip of leather. Nefertiti takes it gently, as if it is fragile. You see a faint smile on her lips. You walk with her back through a hallway shaded by tall columns. Each column is carved with sacred symbols, and you reach out your hand to feel the grooves beneath your fingertips. The stone is warm from the sun, but the air inside is cool, carrying the scent of earth and ancient oil lamps. In a quiet chamber, Nefertiti unrolls the papyrus on a low table. You kneel beside her, watching as she traces the hieroglyphs with a slender finger. The script speaks of devotion, of rituals under the Otten's light, of a vision for a kingdom where the sun god's warmth touches every soul. You see her eyes glimmer with thought as she reads, and you sense her heart beating steady and strong. You close your eyes briefly, feeling your own breath match hers, slow, calm, deep. Later, as the day drifts toward midday, Nefertiti walks beyond the palace gates, accompanied by attendants. You follow at a distance, moving through a city that hums with quiet life. The streets are lined with clay houses, their whitewashed walls glowing softly in the sunlight. Children dart past you with laughter like birdsong, and the air is filled with the scent of fresh bread cooling on stone ledges. You see artisans bent over their work, carving alabaster jars, painting delicate lines onto pottery, weaving rush mats in patterns that look like ripples of water. Each motion is steady, unhurried, as though time itself moves more gently here. Nefertiti pauses to watch them, her eyes soft, her smile faint. You stand beside her, sharing the stillness. You feel the hum of life around you, vibrant yet peaceful, each soul a thread in the great tapestry of the two lands. She speaks with an older woman selling garlands of dried flowers. Her voice is low and melodic, and you catch words of blessing, of gratitude. The woman places a garland into Nefertiti's hands, and she accepts it as though receiving a gift from the gods themselves. You feel something stir in your chest, a sense of reverence, of being close to someone whose every gesture carries meaning. The sun climbs higher, and the shadows shorten. You walk with Nefertiti back toward the palace, but you linger near the edge of a temple courtyard. Here, priests move quietly, preparing offerings. The scent of burning myrrh drifts toward you, sweet and resinous, curling in the warm air. You see gold catching in the light, not in glittering excess, but in subtle adornments, a necklace glinting as a priest bows, the rim of a vessel gleaming as water is poured. Nefertiti stands at the threshold of the temple, her head bowed, her hands lifted in a gesture of devotion. You stand beside her, feeling the sacredness of the moment seep into your own heart. The prayers rise slowly, like smoke, weaving into the sky, disappearing into the blue. You feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, and you let your eyes close. Again, there is no rush, only stillness, only the breath of the present. When you open your eyes, you see that Nefertiti is turned to look at you, as though she knows you are there. Her eyes are calm, filled with a quiet light. She smiles, not widely, but enough to make you feel as though you've been welcomed into something eternal. The feeling lingers long after she walks away, her robes whispering softly against the stones. Evening comes slowly, painting the world in shades of amber and rose. You find yourself back in the courtyard, where the fountain sings softly. Nefertiti is seated there, holding the garland of dried flowers in her lap. She hums a tune, barely audible, a melody that seems to rise from some memory deep within her. You sit beside her, breathing in rhythm, feeling your own body grow heavier with the peace of the day. The lanterns are lit, their light swaying gently as the night wind stirs. Shadows dance on the walls, moving like slow waves across ancient carvings. You let your gaze follow them, feeling your mind grow softer, your thoughts unspooling like silk in the dark. Nefertiti leans back slightly, her eyes half closed, her breath even. You mirror her stillness, feeling the weight of the day dissolve into the cool night. Somewhere far off, the river murmurs. Somewhere closer, a night bird calls softly. You feel the sands cooling under the stars, the city exhaling, the world settling into quiet rest. And in that silence, you know you are not just a visitor in her world. You are part of it now, held gently by the timeless rhythm of her life, her dreams, her legacy. You close your eyes and let the calm wash over you, deeper and deeper, as the night enfolds you both in its endless, soothing embrace. A faint shimmer of dawn light brushes your face, and you open your eyes slowly. You are no longer in the quiet courtyard of yesterday. Instead, you find yourself in a chamber softly lit by morning sun filtering through carved lattice windows. The air is cool and scented with fresh rushes laid across the floor. Nefertiti stands near a long table where jars of pigments are neatly arranged. The soft powders, malachite green, deep ochre, and shimmering blue, catch the light like pieces of sky and earth made solid. You walk closer, your bare feet silent on the woven mats. The chamber feels still, as though holding its breath for what is to come. A painter kneels before a plaster board, gently mixing the colors with slow, rhythmic movements. The brush in his hand is delicate, tipped with fine reeds. Nefertiti watches, quietly, her gaze intent, her hands folded loosely in front of her. You stand beside her, close enough to feel the calm radiance she seems to carry. You lean closer to the painting and see the beginnings of a face taking shape. The lines are tender, careful, almost reverent. The painter glances up at Nefertiti as if seeking silent guidance. She tilts her head, her eyes soft, and nods ever so slightly. The painter smiles faintly and returns to his work, tracing the curve of a brow, the shadow of a cheek. You can hear the faint sound of linen rustling as Nefertiti shifts her weight. Her voice is quiet when she speaks, almost a whisper, but you catch the cadence of her words, gratitude, encouragement, a blessing for the craft unfolding before her. The painter's hand steadies, his strokes becoming even more fluid. Feel yourself relax, drawn into the rhythm of creation. As time drifts on, you notice other figures entering the chamber. Attendants carry additional boards, more jars, more brushes. A small child giggles softly as a pot of pigment nearly tips over, and Nefertiti turns to smile, a warm smile that softens every line of her face. You feel your chest loosen at the sight, as if some hidden knot has been gently untied. The painter's work grows in detail. The face now gazes back at you from the board, serene, luminous, crowned with a diadem of blue and gold. You realize you are looking at Nefertiti herself, captured by the hand of an artist who seems to see her not only as she appears, but as she feels, as a presence that carries grace beyond words. You step closer. The eyes in the painting meet yours. There is a stillness there, a calm that seeps into you like water into dry earth. Nefertiti watches silently, her own eyes flicking between you and the painting, as if wondering what you see. You find no words. You only feel a deep, steady admiration, and a strange comfort that seems to flow from the pigments themselves. Later, when the sun is higher, you follow her through narrow corridors that open into airy spaces. You feel the brush of linen curtains against your arms, hear the sound of sandals softly striking the stone. She leads you into another hall where sculptors work quietly. Stone dust hangs in the air, glowing like mist in the shafts of sunlight. A sculptor is shaping a block of limestone, his chisel striking with a steady, measured tap. The figure emerging is unmistakable. The elegant neck, the poised tilt of the head, the beginnings of a regal headdress. You run your fingers along the unfinished edge, feeling the cool stone beneath your skin. Nefertiti's hands rest lightly on the edge of the workbench as she observes. You catch the sculptor's glance, and he nods as though welcoming you into his secret world of creation. Nefertiti speaks softly again, words you cannot quite make out, but the tone is gentle, encouraging. You sense she is not merely watching. She is shaping the vision, breathing life into the stone with her presence. As the day stretches on, the hall fills with a soft chorus of sounds. The tap of chisels, the murmur of brushes in bowls, the rustle of robes moving through shafts of light. You feel time itself slow, each moment becoming long and golden. You imagine the years ahead when these works will stand in halls and temples, their faces calm and eternal, whispering of her grace to all who pass. You walk beside her back into the garden as evening drapes the palace in shades of amber. The fountain sings softly as it did before, but now its song feels older, deeper. Nefertiti kneels once more to dip her fingers in the water, and you kneel beside her. Together, you watch the ripples move outward, carrying fragments of light. She holds the garland of flowers she received earlier and lets a few petals drift onto the water. They float, spinning gently, caught in the play of current and breeze. You feel a quiet ache in your chest, the kind that comes with beauty too great for words. When she stands, you follow her to a terrace where the horizon stretches wide. The sun is dipping low, painting the sky in strokes of rose and violet. Nefertiti stands in profile against the light, and for a moment you feel you are looking at both the woman and the statue, both the living presence and the eternal image. A hush falls over the world. You hear only the distant hum of insects, the faint rustle of leaves, the low song of the river carried by the wind. Nefertiti closes her eyes, and you feel her thoughts ripple outward like the petals on the water, dreams of a kingdom shaped by light, prayers for the people who look to her with hope. Silent vows whispered to the Aten above. You let those thoughts wash over you, not needing to know their exact words. They are felt, not spoken, deep currents moving beneath the surface of time. You breathe slowly, matching the rhythm of her stillness. As night settles in, lanterns flicker to life, their glow soft and golden. The terrace becomes a sanctuary of shadows and gentle light. You sit near her, feeling the day's warmth leaving the stones beneath you, replaced by the cool calm of evening. Nefertiti hums a melody again, low and steady, something ancient that carries the cadence of river, tides and wind over dunes. Your eyes grow heavy as you listen, your mind floating like a leaf on a quiet stream. You rest there beside her as the stars emerge, one by one, until the sky becomes a tapestry of silver sparks. The air is tender, the night vast, and you feel utterly safe. In the presence of her grace, you drift deeper into the peace that cradles you. deeper into the rhythm of her world, deeper into a timeless rest where dreams and memory gently entwine. A soft breeze moves across your face, and you open your eyes to see a pale ribbon of sunlight spilling through carved wooden shutters. The chamber around you is hushed and cool, perfumed faintly by lilies set in low clay bowls. You sit up slowly, feeling the woven mat beneath your fingers, the gentle warmth of a world just waking. Somewhere beyond the walls, you hear the rustle of palm leaves and the low chant of morning prayers rising like distant birdsong. You follow the sound through long corridors until you reach an open pavilion, where the first light of day pours in unhindered. Nefertiti is already there. She stands with her back to you, draped in soft linen that glows in the sun. Her hands are lifted slightly, palms open, facing east. Around her, the light pools like water, gathering on her skin, spilling over her silhouette. You step closer, quietly, letting the rhythm of her breathing guide your own. The pavilion opens toward a temple. Court. Priests and priestesses move like shadows in the pale light, arranging offerings, lighting small braziers where fragrant smoke curls upward. The sound of their voices is low and soothing, each phrase drawn out like a lullaby. You feel yourself drawn into that cadence, each word a slow stone dropped into a still pool. Rippling outward, you walk closer to Nefertiti, standing beside her as she gazes at the altar ahead. On it rest vessels of water and wine, baskets of figs, fresh bread still warm from the oven. She kneels gracefully, and you follow her motion, feeling the cool stone against your knees. Her lips move in prayer, soft and melodic, though you cannot understand every word. You feel the meaning like a tide moving through you. Gratitude for the light that warms the fields, for the river that feeds the villagers, for the breath of life itself. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, letting that gratitude fill you too, until your chest feels lighter, your thoughts gentler. When the prayer ends, the sun is higher, gilding the temple columns with gold. Nefertiti rises and walks with you through a grove of date palms. Their fronds sway overhead, casting shifting patterns of shadow on the ground. You hear the distant call of a dove and the faint clatter of workers preparing the day's labor. The world feels alive, yet still unhurried. As though time has all the patience in the world, she stops near a small shrine, half hidden by flowering vines. The stone is warm beneath your hand as you trace the carved figure of the Aten, the sun. Disk, with its rays reaching down like open hands, Nefertiti rests her palm on the carving, her eyes closing for a moment. You feel the reverence in her stillness, the calm certainty that she is part of something vast and benevolent. The day drifts gently forward. You follow her into a garden where apprentices prepare pigments for temple murals. You watch as they grind minerals into fine powder, mixing them with oils, testing the hues on scraps of limestone. The colors are vivid, yet soft deep blues, like the evening sky, gentle reds, like the glow of dawn. Nefertiti bends to observe their work, offering a word of praise here, a quiet suggestion there. Her presence is steady, her voice kind. You sit nearby under the shade of an olive tree, letting the soft sounds weave around you, the scraping of stone, the brush of linen robes, the rustle of leaves overhead. A butterfly flits past, pale, yellow wings catching the sun, and you watch it linger in the air before settling on a blossom. Time seems to slow even further, each breath deep and unhurried. Later, in the quiet of mid-afternoon, Nefertiti walks to a balcony overlooking the city. You stand beside her, leaning against the warm stone rail. Below you, the streets are alive. With gentle movement, women carrying baskets, merchants arranging goods, children chasing one another in lazy circles. The city hums softly, not with noise, but with life itself. Nefertiti's eyes follow the curve of the river in the distance, where boats drift slowly under the sun. Her lips curve into the faintest smile, and you feel her thoughts reaching far beyond the horizon, toward futures she can only imagine. You sense the tender weight of her responsibility, not as a burden, but as a gift she holds with care as evening draws near. She returns to the temple court, where the day's final prayers are prepared. The air is thick with the golden scent of burning resin. Shadows lengthen across the courtyard, and the light becomes soft and forgiving. Nefertiti kneels once more, her silhouette etched against the amber glow. You kneel beside her, feeling the stone cool under your hands. Around you, voices chant softly, and the sound carries you inward, deeper into stillness. The temple walls seem to breathe with the rhythm of the prayers, each carved lotus and soaring column alive with meaning. When the chants fade, the priests begin to cover the offerings with cloth, their movements slow and ceremonial. Nefertiti remains kneeling for a moment longer, as though savoring the silence that follows. You stay with her, not wishing to move, simply letting the calm settle into your bones. The lanterns are lit, one by one, their glow reflecting off the polished floor. Night wraps itself around the temple, and the stars awaken overhead. Nefertiti rises gracefully and turns toward you. Her gaze is steady, peaceful, filled with something you can only describe as light made human. She begins to walk, and you follow her back through the garden. The petals of night-blooming flowers unfurl in the lantern glow, releasing a perfume so delicate it makes you close your eyes just to breathe it in. The fountain sings again in the distance, a low, soothing melody. You reach a quiet chamber where the walls are adorned with painted scenes of harvests, of rivers, of the autumn's rays touching every living thing. Nefertiti sits upon a low bench and removes her sandals, letting her feet rest on the cool stone. You sit nearby, leaning back against the wall, feeling the softness of linen against your skin. She hums a tune you have begun to recognize, a melody that feels older than memory, a song of water and sun, of earth and wind. You listen as your eyes grow heavy, lulled by the rhythm of her voice and the slow heartbeat of the temple around you. The night deepens, and the lanterns burn low. Nefertiti's voice softens to a whisper, and you feel your own breath slow too, match hers. You are wrapped in a cocoon of stillness, the world reduced to the sound of her song and the gentle pulse of your own heart. The stars wheel overhead, silent and eternal. The river hums far below, carrying its secrets to the sea. And you, resting in this timeless moment beside a queen whose life is woven into the fabric of history, feel the weight of centuries dissolve into peace. You close your eyes completely, now letting the melody carry you deeper into rest, deeper into her world, deeper into dreams where the light never fades and the heart is forever calm. You awaken slowly to the sound of distant drums, not loud or hurried, but soft and steady, like a heartbeat carried across the air. The morning light is pale and gentle, falling through open arches onto cool stone floors. You rise and feel the air move against your skin, a breeze scented with crushed herbs and the faint tang of fresh clay. Nefertiti is already in motion today. You see her moving through a long hall, attendants around her carrying folded linens and scrolls. She pauses, often to speak softly with each person, offering a hand on a shoulder, a quiet word that seems to bring comfort and clarity. You walk behind her, close enough to see the way her fingers brush the walls as though she is greeting them, as though the very palace is alive to her touch. Today feels different. There is a hum of anticipation in the air, but still no haste. You sense something unfolding, a vision being shaped not by force, but by care and devotion. Nefertiti leads you to a high terrace overlooking the river. The water below gleams like molten bronze in the early sun. Boats drift slowly, their sails catching the light. Beyond them, you see fields stretching out, alive with green. Workers move through them, singing softly, their voices mingling with the wind. You lean on the terrace railing, feeling the sun warm your hands, and let the peace of the scene wash over you, beside you. Nefertiti's gaze lingers on the horizon. She speaks quietly, and though her words are low, you feel their weight. She talks of a city yet to be built, a place where the temples open fully to the light of the Aten, where walls and roofs are shaped to honor the sun's every movement. Her voice is not commanding. It is dreamy, thoughtful, filled with hope. You imagine it as she speaks. You see broad avenues lined with gardens, homes filled with laughter, courtyards open to the sky. You see artisans crafting statues, painting murals that glow in the sunlight. You feel the idea settle into your own heart, a vision of harmony, between earth and light, between humanity and the divine. Later, she walks through the workshops where the first designs are sketched. You follow her past tables covered in red pens and chalky stones. The architects bow low, then unroll their drawings. You kneel to see them closer, lines that curve like the river, shapes that rise like the wings of birds. Nefertiti studies them, her eyes calm, her breath slow. She speaks softly, pointing here and there, her suggestions flowing like water around stones, shaping without force. The day drifts onward. You join her in a shaded courtyard where the sound of construction hums faintly in the distance. She rests on a carved bench, hands folded in her lap, watching birds swoop through the columns. Children run past, laughing, chasing each other in circles. Nefertiti's smile is tender as she watches them. You feel the warmth of that smile reach you, a reminder of gentler things, even within the weight of great plans. Priest arrives, bearing scrolls of prayers, newly written for the coming city. Nefertiti receives them reverently, untying the leather strips and smoothing the papyrus across her knees. You watch her read, her lips moving silently, her eyes softened by some inner light. You realize how much of her life is given to this. Two thoughts and dreams carried quietly. Like embers, she protects against the winds of time. The afternoon brings a quiet stillness. The heat presses down, but in the palace gardens the air is cool beneath the date palms. You walk beside her along narrow paths lined with flowering shrubs. Bees hum lazily, their wings catching the sun as they move from blossom to blossom. The world feels timeless, as though you have stepped into a painting. Nefertiti pauses by a pool where lotus flowers float, their petals half closed against the bright light. She kneels and lets her fingers drift across the surface. You kneel too, feeling the cool water wrap around your skin. Ripples move outward, distorting the reflections of sky and leaves. She hums a familiar tune, the same melody you have heard in nights before, and the sound makes your eyelids heavy. As evening approaches, she leads you to a place where the stones of a new temple are being laid. The site is quiet now, workers resting, their tools set aside. The unfinished walls glow in the setting sun, their rough surfaces already carved with marks of devotion. You run your hand over the stone, feeling its warmth, imagining the years of labor to come, the prayers that will one day echo within these walls. Nefertiti stands at the center of the site, her figure outlined against the orange sky. Her voice is soft, almost to herself, as she speaks blessings over the place. You stand near, feeling those words move through you like a slow wind. The moment feels sacred, suspended, as if the world itself is listening. The first stars appear. Overhead, lanterns are lit along the palace walkways, their light flickering against the darkening walls. You walk back through the corridors with Nefertiti, your footsteps echoing softly. In the distance, you hear evening songs drifting from the workers' quarters, a slow melody of rest and gratitude. Back in her chamber, she sits quietly by an open window. The night air flows in, carrying the scent of night-blooming jasmine. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply, her hands resting in her lap. You sit near her, leaning against the wall, letting the rhythm of her breathing calm your own. Outside, the city hums softly, the last murmurs of voices, the faint trickle of water in distant channels. You listen without effort, your mind gently floating. Nefertiti hums again, that same tune, and the sound drifts over you like a soft cloth. Time seems to stretch and dissolve. You feel the stone beneath you, the air around you, the pulse of life moving through every shadowed corner of this place. Nefertiti opens her eyes and looks at you, and in that gaze is everything: the hope of new cities, the peace of gardens. At dusk, the stillness of a heart devoted to something greater than itself. You feel your eyes closing again, your body growing heavy with rest. The lanterns sway slightly in the breeze, their glow soft and golden. The hum of the night deepens, steady and calm. You drift, carried by her song, carried by the vision she holds, carried by the timeless, endless peace of this world. And as sleep begins to cradle you once more, you feel yourself stepping deeper into her story, deeper into the river of time, where Nefertiti's grace flows on, a light that never fades. A pale mist drifts over the horizon when you open your eyes again. You feel the soft chill of dawn on your skin, the kind that makes every breath feel new, like a blessing. The river lies quiet beneath the sky, its surface smooth and golden in the first light. You are standing near its edge once more, and Nefertiti is there too, her robe brushing the reeds as she walks slowly along the bank. You follow her steps. The sand is cool beneath your feet, sprinkled with the faint tracks of night birds and the paw prints of small creatures who moved through the darkness. The air smells of wet earth, of lotus blooms closing gently as the day begins. You hear the faint hum of insects, the whisper of the breeze moving across the water. It feels like a morning suspended in prayer. Ahead of you rises the outline of a new city. You see scaffolds climbing toward the sky, walls half finished but already glowing with the care of those who built them. Nefertiti pauses to look upon it, her eyes reflecting the pale light, her face calm and thoughtful. This is the city she imagined, a place drawn from dreams and now shaping into form. You walk with her through narrow paths lined with fresh plaster walls. They are smooth beneath your hand, still cool from the night. Painters are already at work, brushing symbols of the Aten into soft designs, rays of light reaching down to touch the earth, flowers bending in gentle reverence, children smiling up at the sky. You move slowly, taking in each detail, feeling the weight of time dissolve in the presence of such quiet creation. Nefertiti stops beside one artist, kneeling so that her eyes are level with his. Her words are low, filled with praise, and you see the artist's shoulders relax, his hands steadier now as he works. You feel warmth bloom in your chest, a recognition of the power of gentleness, of kindness given without expectation. The path leads to an open plaza, where columns rise like tall reeds carved from stone. The ground is covered in fresh sand, soft beneath your feet. In the center stands a carved altar, simple and radiant, waiting for offerings to be placed. You watch as priests approach slowly, bearing baskets of figs, jars of water, and armfuls of lotus flowers gathered from the riverbanks. Their voices rise in a chant, soft and low, a hymn of welcome to the new day. You stand beside Nefertiti as the offerings are laid down. Her hands lift slightly, catching the sunlight that streams through the open sky above. You feel her devotion in the stillness of her body, in the steady rhythm of her breath. You close your eyes and do the same, feeling the light settle on your skin, warm and steady, filling you with a sense of peace so deep it seems to hum in your bones. The ceremony fades into silence. People disperse, moving with calm purpose back to their tasks. You and Nefertiti linger in the plaza, letting the quiet soak into you. A faint wind carries the sound of hammers striking stone from somewhere beyond the walls. It is not a harsh sound. It is rhythmic, steady, like a heartbeat. You listen, and it seems to echo with the rhythm of the earth itself. Later, she leads you through gardens newly planted, where rows of young palms sway in the breeze. The scent of fresh soil is rich and sweet, mingling with the perfume of early blossoms. You watch as she bends to touch the leaves of a young tree, her fingers brushing gently over its green shoots. Her smile is small but full of meaning, as though she sees in this sapling the future shade it will one day offer. You sit with her beneath an older tree, its branches spreading wide overhead. The sunlight falls in shifting patterns through the leaves, dappling the ground with light. Nefertiti rests her hands in her lap, gazing out over the fields beyond. You watch her face, calm and open, and you feel a wave of tranquility wash over you. The day lengthens. You follow her through workshops where artisans carve figures of deities, each stroke of their tools careful and deliberate. You pause before one statue, running your hand along its smooth surface. The stone is cool, and the lines of the figure are soft, almost breathing. Nefertiti watches as you touch the statue, her eyes kind, as though she knows you are feeling the same quiet reverence. She feels as afternoon deepens, the sun spills golden light over the new city. You walk together along an unfinished avenue, your steps slow, the sand warm now beneath your feet. Children run past, their laughter bright but not jarring, like birds calling to one another. You smile as they weave around you, their joy as natural as the breeze. Nefertiti pauses to speak with a young girl who carries a small basket of reeds. The child looks up at her with wide eyes, and Nefertiti kneels to meet her gaze. You watch as she listens, truly listens, to the child's quiet words. When she smiles, it feels like the sun itself has bent closer to earth, warm and steady. Evening drifts in softly. You return to the plaza, where the altar now holds fresh flowers glowing in the last light. The city quiets, the sounds of work fading into the soft calls of birds settling for the night. Nefertiti stands at the edge of the plaza, her hands clasped before her, eyes turned to the horizon where the sun sinks slowly, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. You stand beside her, letting the stillness of the moment seep into you. The air cools against your skin, carrying the scent of the river and the faint smoke of evening fires. The first stars prick the sky, shy and distant, and you feel the weight of the day slipping away, leaving only calm. Nefertiti turns toward you. Her eyes are soft, filled with light. She nods slightly, as if to say, "You are part of this, too." You feel your chest expand with the quiet joy of belonging, of being welcomed into a dream made real. Night wraps itself around the city like a silk cloth. Lanterns glow softly in doorways, their light flickering against whitewashed walls. You walk with Nefertiti back through the gardens, the flowers now heavy with night air, their fragrance rich and deep. You listen to the fountain singing softly, its sound weaving through the dark like a lullaby. Back in her chamber, she sits by the window, gazing at the stars. You sit near her, resting your head against the cool stone wall. She hums again, that same ancient tune, low and steady. Your breath slows to match hers. Your eyes close, and you feel the gentle weight of her presence, the calm of the new city settling into your heart. The night deepens, the world fades into shadow and soft light, and as you drift into rest once more, you feel the rhythm of the city's heartbeat, of Nefertiti's vision, carrying you deeper into dreams where the light never fades and the river sings forever. You wake to the feeling of warmth on your cheek, a gentle sun already climbing the sky. The air in the new city is quiet in a way that feels sacred, as though the walls themselves are breathing in the light. You step out onto a smooth stone balcony, bare feet brushing against cool surfaces that still hold the night's memory. Below you, the avenues stretch like ribbons of pale gold. Morning mist curls in soft tendrils over the courtyards. You hear faint voices singing a hymn, slow and rhythmic, floating through the air like drifting petals. You lean on the balcony rail and inhale deeply, feeling the scent of fresh bread from the baker's courtyard and the sweetness of figs ripening in baskets. Nefertiti is already moving through the plaza. You walk to join her, and your footsteps echo softly in the long hallways. Lanterns are being extinguished by careful hands, one by one, their smoke rising in thin blue threads. The light grows stronger, touching every surface, painting them with warmth. She greets you with a calm smile, the kind that needs no words. You walk beside her into the heart of the temple complex, where great open roofs allow the sun to spill directly onto the polished stone floor. Priests move slowly, placing offerings of fruit and flowers in long, low trays. Their robes brush against the ground, their whispers merging into the steady murmur of prayer. You kneel beside Nefertiti as she bows her head. Her lips form words older than memory, words meant to honor the autumn's light, to thank the sun for another day. You close your eyes, letting the sound wash over you, feeling your own breath deepen and slow. Time feels wide here, like the sky itself. After the prayers, she leads you down narrow paths lined with gardens. Flowers climb trellises, their petals open to the sun. Bees hum softly, their wings catching the light in golden flashes. You pause by a low wall to watch them work, your mind quiet, your body loose with calm. Beyond the gardens lies a school courtyard where children sit cross-legged on the stone, listening to a teacher's gentle voice. Nefertiti steps closer, her hands clasped loosely behind her back, her expression serene as she watches the little ones trace hieroglyphs in the sand with thin reeds. The teacher's tone is slow and soothing, each word measured, each pause long, enough to let the meaning sink deep. You kneel beside one child, watching as he carefully shapes a symbol of the sun with his small hands. He looks up at you shyly, and you smile, feeling a warmth bloom in your chest. Nefertiti crouches too, whispering something soft that makes the child's eyes brighten. You feel the weight of this moment, a queen taking time for a single child, the seed of a future being planted in quiet love. When you leave, the sun is high, casting dappled light through the colonnades. You follow her into a workshop where sculptors work in near silence. The air smells of wet stone and fresh chisels. Shavings scatter across the floor, soft as sand. You watch as a face emerges from a block of limestone, the curve of a cheekbone, the hollow of an eye. It is not finished, but already there is a kind of soul in it. Nefertiti walks among them, her fingers trailing over the smooth surfaces, her words of encouragement falling like gentle rain. She pauses at one piece, a statue of the Atens, rays stretching toward kneeling figures. Her eyes close briefly, as if offering a silent blessing, then open again, bright and calm. Outside, the afternoon light softens. You walk beside her to a raised terrace where a fountain sings softly. Water spills from one stone basin to another, a constant, soothing rhythm. She sits on a low bench, removing her sandals to dip her feet into the cool water. You follow her. Lead, the sensation making you sigh quietly, tension dissolving from your body. She begins to speak, her voice low and melodic. She talks of harmony between earth and sky, between king and people, between the heart and the duties it must bear. You listen without interruption, each word flowing into you like warm water. Her tone carries no command, only reflection, like someone sharing a dream that has lived inside her for years. The sun drifts lower. You both rise, walking again through the city as evening approaches. Workers return from the fields, their voices soft, their steps slow. Lanterns are lit. In windows, one by one, glowing like fireflies against the deepening blue. You feel a hush settle over everything, a peace that seems to expand with the night. Nefertiti leads you to a high platform where the horizon stretches wide. The river glimmers below, catching the last light of day. You watch as the sun touches the edge of the world, turning the sky to gold and then to deep rose. Nefertiti stands beside you, silent, her eyes fixed on the fading light. You sense her thoughts reaching far beyond the moment, to futures she hopes for, to a legacy she cannot yet see. You breathe deeply, letting the cool evening air fill you. The city hums softly below, a cradle of life and devotion. You feel the rhythm of it, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. Night folds in gently. Stars emerge, scattered like distant seeds across the velvet sky. Nefertiti lowers her gaze and turns back toward the palace. You walk with her through dim corridors, lit by flickering lamps. The air is cool, the shadows soft. You hear only the whisper of your steps and the rustle of her robe. Back in her chamber, she sits near an open window, gazing out at the stars. The air smells of night-blooming jasmine again, sweet and faint. You settle on the floor nearby, resting your head against the smooth wall. She begins to hum that same slow tune, and the sound wraps around you like a gentle cloth. You close your eyes. The tune carries you inward, to a place where there is no hurry, no burden, only the soft rhythm of breath and heart and night. You feel the cool stone beneath you, the calm presence beside you, the vastness of the sky above. Sleep begins to weave itself through your thoughts, a slow drifting, a peaceful surrender. Nefertiti's voice is still humming, low and even, and you feel yourself slipping deeper into rest. The night is endless, the stars eternal, the city a soft cradle of light in the dark. You are safe here, held by her presence, by her vision, by the tender hum of a world devoted to light and peace. And as you drift away into dreams, you feel the story continuing to unfold, slowly, gently, like petals opening beneath a rising sun. You awaken to the softest sound, the brush of linen against stone, the faint trickle of water somewhere beyond a courtyard wall. Morning has come slowly, tenderly, as if it wishes to tread quietly so as not to disturb your rest. You rise from where you have been sleeping near the open window, feeling the coolness of the floor beneath your palms, and you stretch your arms into the pale light. When you step outside, the new city is bathed in a warm glow. The sun is still low, casting long shadows of the columns, the palms, and the delicate reeds that line the courtyards. You hear the distant murmur of voices chanting a hymn, and a breeze stirs, carrying with it the smell of fresh bread and crushed herbs. Nefertiti walks ahead of you, her robes swaying lightly with her steps. Today there is a quiet splendor about her, not from jewels or finery, but from the calm radiance she seems to carry within. You follow her toward a great hall where beams of sunlight stream through carved openings high above, dust motes dancing in the golden shafts like tiny spirits. Around you, courtiers move softly, offering greetings with hands pressed gently to their chests. You see scribes hunched over their scrolls, recording offerings and blessings. Servants bring in trays of ripe figs and pomegranates, their colors deep and rich. Nefertiti moves through them like a steady current through a slow river, pausing to speak a word here, a gesture there. Every person she touches with her voice or her glance seems to soften, to breathe more easily. You walk beside her to a raised platform near the center of the hall. There, she takes a seat on a simple carved chair. It is not grand, but the way she sits makes it seem like a throne. Attendants bring forward petitions, rolls of papyrus bearing the voices of farmers, craftsmen, priests. Nefertiti listens, truly listens, leaning forward slightly, her eyes steady and calm. A farmer speaks of fields needing water. A sculptor speaks of stone that must be blessed before it can be carved. A mother speaks of a child who is sick. To each one, Nefertiti offers words so soft you can barely hear them, yet you feel their weight, like a gentle hand placed on your heart. You watch her give directions, not with command, but with care, each decision made with thoughtfulness, as steady as the autumn's rays. When the petitions end, she rises, her movements unhurried, and leads you through another set of corridors. Here, the air is cooler, lined with statues of gods and goddesses. You pass a doorway where music drifts out, a flute's low notes mingled with the soft thrum of a drum. You pause, letting the melody wash over you. Nefertiti stops too, tilting her head, eyes half closed, as though letting the music sink into her very soul. You continue together until you emerge into a smaller courtyard where artisans sit cross-legged, weaving golden threads into linen. Their hands move with patient precision, the threads glinting in the sunlight like strands of captured dawn. Nefertiti kneels beside them, picking up a piece of the cloth, running her fingers along its edge. You see in her face a quiet reverence for their work, and you feel it in your own heart as well. The day lengthens. You walk with her along the walls of the city, where builders carve inscriptions into stone. Their hammers strike slowly, evenly, the rhythm steady as a heartbeat. Nefertiti places her hand against the wall, closing her eyes, as if listening to what the stone has to say. You mirror her, feeling the roughness of the unfinished carving, the cool solidity of something meant to last for centuries. She speaks softly of legacy, how each word carved, each image painted, is a prayer to the future. You hear the tenderness in her voice, the way she speaks, not of herself, but of those who will come after, of children yet unborn who will walk these avenues and feel the sun on their faces. A hush falls over you both, and you stand there for a long while, the wind brushing against your skin, the scent of stone dust and wildflowers mingling in the air. Evening begins to paint the city in soft hues. The workers return from the walls, their hands dusty, their faces content. You follow Nefertiti into the gardens where lanterns are being lit, their glow trembling in the growing dusk. A fountain sinks nearby, water spilling gently over smooth stone. You sit beside her on a low bench, the day's warmth fading into the cool of night. She speaks again, but not of plans or decisions. She speaks of her daughters, their laughter, the way they dance in the courtyards when no one is watching. She speaks of moments that never reach the scrolls of history, quiet mornings by the river, the taste of honeyed bread shared with a friend, the softness of a night breeze. You listen, and in her voice you hear not only a queen, but a woman, living, breathing, loving. The stars appear one by one, silver pricks against a deep blue sky. Nefertiti tilts her head back, her eyes reflecting their light. You lean back too, letting the vastness of the night hold you. Around you, the city hums softly, a lullaby of distant voices, the rustle of palm fronds, the faint splash of water. In the fountain, you feel your body soften, your breath deepen, your mind grows still, time becomes slow and liquid. You are aware only of the present, the queen beside you, the night around you, the gentle pulse of life in every shadow. You close your eyes and feel your heartbeat match the rhythm of the distant drums beginning their evening song. Nefertiti hums once more, a melody you know now by heart, a song that seems to hold the entire world in its tender cadence. You let yourself drift, deeper and deeper, the sound of her voice guiding you like a gentle current. The lantern light flickers against your closed eyelids, warm and golden. The air carries the scent of flowers and stone. The city rests, the queen rests, and you, too, are at peace. As sleep folds over you again, you feel the layers of time soften. You are no longer just yourself. You are part of this story, part of these walls, part of this gentle song carried through centuries. And with that feeling cradling you, you slip into dreams as calm and endless as the night sky itself. The night fades slowly, and you feel the first breath of dawn on your skin, cool and tender. You awaken not with a start, but with a gradual awareness, the sense that light is returning, that the world is turning gently beneath you. You stretch your fingers across the woven mat where you've rested, and the texture feels like a whisper of earth itself. When you step outside, the air is soft with mist. The city is quiet, its avenues hushed as though holding its breath. Palm trees sway ever so slightly, their fronds rustling like a distant lullaby. Nefertiti walks ahead of you, her steps silent, her presence calm. She moves through the corridors, as though they are part of her own body, each stone a familiar friend, each carving a memory held close. You follow her to a place you've not been before, a quiet courtyard at the city's edge. A low wall separates it from the sands beyond, and the horizon stretches wide, painted with pale gold. She stands there, looking outward, her linen robe caught in the breeze. Her profile against the rising sun is serene, timeless, and you feel a pang of awe, as though you are seeing her soul reflected in the light. The sound of the desert wind is like a sigh, and you hear the faint murmur of priests preparing morning offerings somewhere behind you. Nefertiti kneels, placing her hands flat on the stone, feeling its coolness. You kneel beside her, mirroring the gesture, feeling the world through your palms. She speaks softly, words meant more for the earth than for you. You cannot catch every syllable, but you feel the meaning: gratitude for the day, a plea for peace, a hope that what is built here will endure. The breeze carries her voice out over the sands, and you imagine the words sinking into the desert like seeds. When she rises, she leads you down a path lined with simple gardens, young shoots push through dark soil, leaves trembling with dew. You brush your fingers over them, feeling life humming through each fragile stem. Nefertiti smiles faintly, and you sense that she sees not just plants, but the future shade that will cool children at play, blossoms that will open in some distant season. Further on, you enter a shaded hall where shelves are stacked with scrolls. The air is cool and smells of ink and papyrus. Scribes sit cross-legged, carefully copying hymns and prayers, their hands steady, their eyes calm. You pause to watch one as he traces a delicate hieroglyph, the reed pen scratching softly. Nefertiti walks slowly between them, her presence quiet but commanding in a way that feels like a blessing rather than an order. One scribe looks up and smiles at her. She nods, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder before moving on. The gesture is small, but you feel the warmth of it ripple through the room like sunlight. You feel your own heart soften in response, touched by this gentle exchange. Later, as the sun climbs higher, you walk with her to a place where tall columns rise into the open sky. These columns are unfinished, their surfaces marked with chalk and faint lines, as though the dreams of their design are still being whispered. Workers move among them, chisels striking in a steady rhythm. Nefertiti pauses to watch, her eyes tracing the shapes as they emerge from stone. You stand close enough to see the fine dust catching in her hair, the light turning it to threads of gold. She reaches out and runs her hand along a carved groove, feeling the work, honoring it. You follow her lead, pressing your palm against the cool surface. The stone feels alive beneath your skin, as though it holds the echo of every hand that shaped it. The day deepens. You sit with her in a shaded alcove where water trickles from a clay jar into a shallow pool. The sound is steady, soothing, like the heartbeat of the city itself. Nefertiti closes her eyes, and you do the same. Time seems to dissolve. You feel only the cool stone beneath you, the warmth of the air, the faint hum of distant voices carried by the wind. She begins to speak, her words soft and thoughtful. She talks of her daughters again, of their laughter echoing through the halls, of the way their small hands reach for hers. She speaks of the Otan's light as a blessing, not a burden, and you feel her devotion radiate outward, touching everything around her. You open your eyes to find her gazing at the pool, watching the ripples as they move outward, carrying fragments of light. Her face is calm, serene, and you feel a profound sense of peace just by being near her. As the afternoon wanes, she rises, and you walk with her toward the river. The path is lined with wildflowers, their petals trembling in the breeze. The river itself is calm, its surface smooth and bright, reflecting the sky like a mirror. Boats drift slowly, their sails like pale wings. Nefertiti stands at the edge, gazing across the water. You stand beside her, feeling the warmth of the sun on your shoulders. The moment stretches, timeless, filled with nothing but the soft sound of water and wind. She lifts her hand, letting her fingers skim the river's surface. You do the same, feeling the coolness, watching the ripples move outward. Evening comes slowly. The sky turns to amber, then rose, then deep indigo. Lanterns glow along the riverbank, their reflections shimmering in the water. Nefertiti walks back toward the city, and you follow, your steps quiet, your heart full. You return to the palace as night settles in. The halls are dim, lit by the soft flicker of oil lamps. The air smells of jasmine and warm stone. Nefertiti moves through the corridors with the same calm grace as always, her shadow long and soft against the walls. In her chamber, she sits by the window, the stars bright above. You settle nearby, letting the quiet embrace you. She hums that familiar tune, low and steady, and the sound wraps around you like a blanket. Your breath slows, your eyes grow heavy. Outside, the night hums with distant voices and the whisper of the river. The city rests, the world rests, and you feel yourself resting too, sinking deeper into the calm. Nefertiti's presence is steady, like the sun itself, and you feel safe in that light even as your eyes close. Sleep comes gently, carrying you away on a tide of peace and ancient whispers. And as you drift, you feel yourself becoming part of her legacy, part of her dream, part of the endless rhythm of this city under the stars. The night has passed like a soft river, and when you open your eyes again, the world is bathed in the pale silver of early morning. You rise slowly, feeling the coolness of the stone floor under your palms, and step outside where the mist still lingers in the gardens. Dew glistens on every leaf, tiny beads of light that tremble as the first breeze of the day moves through. You walk quietly, your steps muffled by sand and woven mats. The new city is just beginning to stir. Distant voices call softly to one another as clay ovens are stoked, and the sweet scent of baking bread drifts through the air like a blessing. Birds sweep overhead, their wings carving gentle shadows on the walls. Nefertiti stands in the open court of the great temple, her figure silhouetted against the rising sun. The stone columns around her cast long shadows that cross the floor like slow-moving sundials. You watch her for a moment before stepping closer, feeling as though you were entering not just a space, but a sacred rhythm. She is looking up, eyes following the early light as it filters through carved openings. You sense her thoughts wandering beyond the day, beyond the city, reaching into something vast and unseen. You stand beside her in silence, letting the warmth of the sun touch your face, letting the hum of the priest's low chanting seep into your chest. The chanting builds softly, then fades, like the tide. A young priest approaches with a tray of offerings, small jars of honey, clusters of dates, bowls of cool water. Nefertiti takes a date in her hand, breaks it gently, and places half on the altar. The other half she lifts to her lips, closing her eyes as she tastes the sweetness. She offers a piece to you, and when you bite into it, the flavor blooms softly, earthy and golden, lingering like sunlight on your tongue. After the offering, you walk with her through a shaded passage that leads to a chamber filled with statues. They stand in quiet ranks, faces serene, hands folded in eternal gestures of reverence. Some are finished, polished to a glow, while others are only half-shaped, their features emerging slowly from rough stone. Nefertiti moves among them as though greeting old friends. Her fingers trace the curve of a cheek, the angle of a jawline. She pauses before one figure, a likeness of herself, though not yet complete. The sculptor has captured her eyes, calm and knowing, and her mouth poised in a soft, inward smile. You watch her watching herself, and you feel something stir in your heart, a sense of how the living and the eternal intertwine here, how memory is carved to outlast flesh. You stand near her for a long time, the air still and cool. Then she turns and leads you deeper, past columns carved with vines and birds, until you emerge into another courtyard, where the sun now falls bright and full. Apprentices sit on low stools, carving small charms from alabaster. Their laughter drifts lightly through the air, mixing with the scrape of tools and the rustle of leaves overhead. Nefertiti kneels beside a young girl working carefully with a chisel. The girl looks up, eyes wide, and Nefertiti smiles, taking the tool in her own hands to show a gentler way to carve the stone. You watch the girl's face brighten with understanding, her shoulders relax. The moment feels simple and pure, yet filled with quiet power, a queen's teaching hand on the stone, shaping not only the charm, but the heart of the one who makes it. As the sun climbs high, you both move to the shade of an open pavilion. Servants bring cool water in clay jars, pouring it into shallow cups. You drink, feeling the coolness spread through your body, easing away the warmth of the day. The breeze stirs the linen curtains, and you let your eyes half close, listening to the distant hum of life in the city. Nefertiti begins to speak softly, not of temples or offerings, but of the way the wind changes before the seasons turn, of how the river knows when to rise and when to rest. Her voice is slow, almost a murmur, as though she is sharing secrets meant only for those who listen with their whole hearts. You feel yourself leaning in, drawn by the cadence, the stillness between words, the gentleness woven through each syllable. Later, as the afternoon begins to wane, you walk with her toward the edge of the city. Here, the land stretches open, the river shimmering in the distance. She pauses beneath a tall palm, placing her hand on its trunk, feeling the rough texture, the life coursing within. You mirror her gesture, and for a moment you feel as though the earth itself is breathing beneath your fingertips. She speaks again, this time of legacy, not in grand declarations, but in soft reflections. She wonders aloud how the city will sound in 100 years, whose laughter will fill its courtyards, whose hands will trace the carvings on its walls. You feel the weight and tenderness of her vision, and you close your eyes, letting the images drift through your mind like petals. On water, the sun dips lower, turning the sky to molten gold. The workers begin to leave their stations, moving in gentle clusters, their laughter carried on the wind. Children run along the pathways, their footsteps light, their voices bright but not harsh. The city breathes with a soft rhythm, neither hurried nor still, simply alive. You follow Nefertiti back, toward the heart of the palace as evening deepens. Lanterns are lit, their glow flickering against the stone. The air smells of warm bread, fresh herbs, and the faint sweetness of flowers. Closing for the night. You feel your own body relax into the rhythm of the place, every step a soft echo. Back in her private garden, Nefertiti kneels by a pool, her reflection trembling in the water. The stars begin to appear above, their light scattering like grains of silver. You sit beside her, listening to the fountain's song, feeling the night wrap around you like a tender shawl. She hums again, the same melody that has followed you through these days and nights. It feels older than language, deeper than time, a tune that carries the heartbeat of the earth itself. You close your eyes, letting it cradle you, your breath slowing, your thoughts drifting like leaves on a calm stream. The lanterns burn low, the city sleeps, the river hums its eternal lullaby, and you, sitting beside her, feel yourself dissolve into that quiet rhythm, into the soft cadence of a life that still whispers through the ages. As your eyes grow heavier, you sense her turning toward you, her gaze full of peace. You know without words that you are safe here, that this moment is eternal. You let yourself drift, deeper and deeper, into dreams that carry the light of the sun, the coolness of the stone, and the everlasting calm of Nefertiti's world. The night has been kind to you. When you open your eyes, the first thing you notice is the sound of your own breath, slow and easy, mingling with the hush of dawn. A faint orange light edges the sky beyond the lattice window. You lie still for a moment, feeling the linen beneath your fingers, and then rise, drawn once more into the quiet rhythm of her world outside. The air is cool and fragrant with damp earth and faint traces of resin still lingering from the night lamps. The new city is wrapped in that half-light that makes every stone seem softer, every shadow tender. You walk along a path lined with young palms, their long leaves bow toward you as if in greeting. Nefertiti is already awake. You see her seated on a low bench in a secluded courtyard, her posture relaxed, her hands resting lightly on her knees. She is looking at a scroll unrolled across her lap, the symbols glinting in the early light. You approach quietly, not wishing to disturb her thoughts, but she glances up and offers you that gentle smile you have come to know. A smile that says you are welcome in her presence. You sit beside her. The stone beneath you still holds the cool of night. She hands you the end of the scroll so that you may see the words to her hymns, songs to the Aten, written with flowing care. She reads softly, her voice no more than a whisper, and you listen, letting each word seep into you like warm water. The words speak of light touching every leaf, every river, every beating heart. They speak of peace, of gratitude, of belonging to something vast and kind. When the reading is done, she rolls the scroll with slow, deliberate movements. You notice how she treats it not as an object, but as a living thing, something sacred. She places it in a carved box beside her, her hands lingering for a moment on the lid. The day begins to awaken fully now. You walk with her through the gardens, where the first bees hum lazily among the blossoms. A gardener kneels by a patch of herbs, crushing leaves between his fingers to test their scent. He looks up, and Nefertiti kneels beside him, sharing in his simple joy over a plant's growth. You watch this small exchange. No words, just smiles and nods, and feel a warmth bloom in your chest. Further on, you come to a low building filled with the scent of drying papyrus. Artisans are at work, smoothing fibers, pressing them into sheets. The faint sound of reeds scraping against stone fills the air. Nefertiti moves among them, pausing to watch, to ask softly about their work, to offer a quiet blessing over the tools in their hands. You follow her to a table where a young scribe writes slowly, forming careful hieroglyphs. His brow is furrowed in concentration. Nefertiti leans close, pointing gently to a curve in the symbol, showing him a way to make it more fluid, more alive. You see his shoulders ease, his pen move more confidently. He smiles shyly, and she returns. The smile, patient and kind. The sun climbs higher, the light growing stronger, but never harsh. You walk with her to the temple court again, where a new wall is being painted. The colors are vivid but soft, blue like river water, gold like early wheat. Figures of the autumn's rays reach out over the fields and homes. Nefertiti stands, still, taking in the scene, and you feel her pride, not in herself, but in the hands that shaped this vision. After a time, you both retreat to the shaded side of the temple, where cool breezes slip through carved openings. An attendant brings water in a clay jar, pouring it into cups. You drink slowly, feeling the coolness spread through you. The shade, the water, the distant sound of voices chanting in the background, all of it weaves around you like a gentle cloak. Nefertiti speaks again, softly, as if thinking aloud. She tells you of the years to come, of how she hopes the city will thrive, how she imagines its avenues alive with music and laughter. Her words are not grand declarations, they are musings, tender and human. You feel the depth of her hope, and you hold it in your own heart as if it were a delicate flower placed in your hands. The afternoon drifts by in a slow rhythm. You wander with her along the riverbank. The water shimmers in the sun, boats sliding by with sails that catch the light. Children splash near the edge, their laughter carried on the breeze. Nefertiti watches them, her expression soft, her hands clasped loosely. You stand beside her, feeling the sand warm beneath your feet, the wind cool on your face. Later, she leads you to a quiet grove where stone benches circle a pool. This is a place for reflection, you sense, a place where the noise of the city fades. You sit together, listening to the trickle of water, the rustle of leaves, the occasional call of a bird hidden in the branches. She closes her eyes, and you do the same. Time loses its edges. You feel yourself slipping into a state that is not quite waking, not quite sleep, a peaceful in-between where every sound is soft, every thought drifts gently. When you open your eyes, the sun is lowering, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Nefertiti stands and takes your hand for a moment, a gesture so simple yet filled with connection. Together, you walk back through the gardens, the lanterns beginning to glow softly as evening arrives. Back in the palace, the halls are lit with warm light. The scent of evening meals drifts through the air. Lentils, honeyed bread, herbs crushed into fragrant oils. You walk silently beside her, hearing only the echo of your footsteps, the gentle rustle of her robes. She leads you to a balcony overlooking the city. From here you can see the lanterns flickering like stars fallen to earth. You rest your arms on the stone railing, feeling its coolness. Nefertiti stands beside you, her eyes turned to the horizon where the last light fades. She hums again, that melody you know now as well as your own breath. It fills the air between you, soft and steady, carrying with it everything she is, her hopes, her love, her devotion, her quiet strength. You let the sound cradle you. You feel the peace of the city, the calm of the night, the warmth of her presence beside you. You feel your own heartbeat slow, your body grow heavy with rest. The stars emerge, brilliant against the velvet sky. The river whispers far below. And as you close your eyes, you feel yourself sinking deeper into her story, deeper into this ancient calm. You are safe here. You are part of this world now, carried by its rhythm, embraced by its light. And as sleep comes softly, you drift on. The melody of Nefertiti's hum, the gentle pulse of a city that will live forever in memory and in dreams. The night passes like a gentle tide, and when you open your eyes, The air is still cool, still heavy with the perfume of flowers that bloomed in darkness. You rise slowly, feeling the ache of rest leaving your limbs, and step into a courtyard where the lanterns are still burning low. Their flames flicker faintly, painting warm golden pools on the pale stone. You look up and see the last few stars fading as the first hint of dawn lifts the horizon. The city sleeps on, yet you feel its heartbeat beneath your feet, a rhythm of quiet preparation, of dreams carried into day. Nefertiti is waiting in the garden, standing beneath a canopy of vines that sway softly in the breeze. Her eyes are lifted toward the paling sky. When she turns to you, her face is calm. But there is something else in her expression today, a thought she has not spoken, a mystery she has held close. You follow her without words as she leads you through a narrow corridor. The sound of your steps echoes softly, mingling with the faint hum of distant chanting. You emerge into a chamber you have not seen before. Its walls are carved with figures you do not recognize. Not the Otten's radiant rays, not the familiar symbols of temples and harvests. These carvings are older, worn by time, their meanings veiled. You step closer, running your fingertips over the grooves. Feeling the stories hidden there, Nefertiti watches you, her gaze tender, as if she too has pondered these figures in the quiet hours of the night. She speaks softly, her voice no more than a breath. She tells you these carvings are remnants from those who came before, voices of an older faith, an older rhythm. She says she comes here when she seeks answers, not from gods, but from memory itself. You sit on the cool floor beside her, gazing at the ancient symbols. The air is thick with the scent of dust and stone, and yet there is a sweetness to it, a sense of something preserved, cherished. Nefertiti speaks again, her words slow and gentle, confessing that even she does not know all the answers, that even a queen walks with questions. Her honesty settles over you like soft linen. You feel your shoulders relax, your breath deepen. The idea that mystery itself can be sacred makes you feel lighter, as though you have been carrying a weight you did not need to bear. After a long silence, she rises, and you follow her back into the morning light. The city is stirring now, its people stepping out of doorways, their voices mingling in quiet greetings. A woman offers bread to a neighbor. A child chases a bird across the street. You watch these small acts, feeling their gentleness seep into you like sunlight. Nefertiti leads you to the temple steps. From here you can see the city stretching outward, its avenues lined with trees, its courtyards alive with life. She raises her hands to the sun, which now glows full and warm. The priests begin their hymns, voices rising and falling like the slow breath of the earth. You stand beside her, your eyes closing, letting the sound move through you. You feel the stone beneath your feet, the light on your skin, the hum of countless hearts around you. When you open your eyes, she is looking at you, and in her gaze you feel a silent understanding that this moment, like all moments, is both fleeting and eternal. Later, you walk with her beyond the city walls. The sand stretches out in waves, the wind drawing soft lines across its surface. In the distance, low hills rise, their shapes blurred by heat and light. Nefertiti's steps are slow, measured, her robe trailing softly behind her. You follow, the silence between you both filled with the rustle of sand and the whisper of the wind. She stops before a mound where fragments of old stone peek through the sand. She kneels, brushing the grains away with her hands. Beneath them, you see carvings faint, almost erased by time. You kneel too, tracing the marks. They are unfamiliar, but you feel the hum of history in them, like echoes of voices still speaking. Nefertiti looks at you, and her voice is quiet when she says that this place was once a shrine, long before her own city, long before even the oldest temple you have seen. She says she comes here to remember that even stone is not forever, and yet the love that shapes it lingers. Her words sink deep into you. You close your eyes, letting the wind wash over your face, feeling grains of sand against your skin. You imagine all those who stood here before, their prayers carried away by the same wind. You feel a kinship with them, a thread connecting you across centuries. The sun climbs higher, and the heat grows, but you and Nefertiti remain seated in the sand, sharing silence. The world around you narrows to this place, this moment, the breath of the earth beneath you. Time itself seems to hold still, as though honoring your stillness. When you finally rise, you feel lighter, calmer, as though some quiet truth has settled. Within you, Nefertiti brushes the sand from her hands, her eyes soft, and you follow her back toward the city. The wind carries the scent of distant flowers, and in the distance you hear the sound of water, cool and inviting, as you pass through the gates. Children run to meet her, offering small bundles of herbs and flowers. She bends to accept them, her laughter soft and genuine. You watch her move among them, touching each small head with affection, speaking words you cannot hear but feel nonetheless. Evening comes slowly. The city glows in the golden light. You walk with her once more to the balcony where you have stood so many times before. The river winds below, catching the last rays of day. The lanterns begin to glow, flickering like stars mirrored on earth. Nefertiti leans against the railing, her hands folded, her eyes distant. You stand beside her, letting the night wrap around you. She begins to hum again, the same melody, timeless and soothing. The sound drifts across the balcony, mingling with the night air. You feel your own heartbeat slow to match the rhythm of her tune. You close your eyes, letting the melody cradle you, feeling yourself sinking into the calm of the evening. The stars brighten, the city quiets, and the world becomes soft, blurred, peaceful in that moment. With the night around you and Nefertiti's voice beside you, you feel infinite and small all at once. You are a thread in the tapestry of time, a listener to a queen's song, a soul held gently by history itself. Sleep comes like a tide, gentle and sure, and as you drift, you feel the carvings, the sands, the stones, and her presence all woven into you, carrying you deeper into dreams, deeper into the soft, endless mystery of her world. The night melts slowly into morning, and you awaken to a pale sky touched with rose. The air is still cool, and a hush lingers over the city as though it is still wrapped in dreams. You step out onto a stone terrace and feel the cool smoothness. Beneath your feet, the light of dawn brushing gently across your skin. Below you, the courtyards are quiet. Only a few attendants move softly between shadows, carrying baskets of herbs or jars of water beaded with dew. Somewhere in the distance, a single flute plays, a low and tender melody that feels as if it has always been there. Waiting, you see Nefertiti walking slowly along a path lined with reeds and flowering shrubs. Her linen robe is light and simple, moving like water around her ankles. She is alone this morning, no attendants, no court, only her presence and the quiet earth. You follow her, your steps silent, feeling the way the world seems to pause for her passing. She leads you beyond the gardens, through a narrow gate where the land opens to the river. The sun is rising now, turning the water into molten gold. The current is slow, carrying papyrus boats whose reflections shimmer like fragile ghosts. Nefertiti kneels at the river's edge, dipping her hands into the cool water, and you kneel beside her, doing the same. The water runs through your fingers like liquid light. For a long while, she says nothing. She gazes across the river, and you feel her thoughts reach far beyond its banks, far beyond the city itself. Finally, in a voice as soft as the wind, she begins to speak. She tells you that even a queen is sometimes haunted by the weight of time. She tells you there are moments when she stands in her chambers at night and wonders how much of herself the future will remember. Her voice is calm, not sorrowful, but there is a wistfulness in it, like a secret only shared with the dawn. You listen as she speaks of statues and paintings, of prayers carved into stone, of a name whispered for centuries. And then she speaks of things that cannot be carved or painted, the sound of her daughter's laughter, the warmth of the sun on her skin as she kneels in prayer, the fleeting fragrance of night flowers. She wonders which of these will linger, if any. Her words drift over the river like petals, soft and weightless. You feel them settle in your heart. You realize that you, standing here beside her, are part of that memory now, part of the unseen legacy that flows forward like the river itself. When she falls silent, you both simply sit by the water. A heron lands nearby, its wings wide and pale, and then folds them gently, standing motionless in the shallows. The sight feels sacred, though nothing is spoken. You breathe in the stillness, feeling your own heart slow to match the calm rhythm of the morning dot as the sun climbs higher. She rises and leads you back toward the city. The air warms, carrying the scent of fresh bread and herbs. You hear children laughing in the distance, priests chanting soft hymns, the faraway ring of a hammer shaping stone. Every sound feels gentle, part of a larger harmony that wraps around you like a soft cloth. Nefertiti guides you into a quiet hall you have not seen before. Inside, there are jars filled with perfumes, oils of myrrh, cedar, and lotus. She opens one and lets you inhale the deep, sweet fragrance. The scent floods your senses, warm and calming. She explains in a low voice how each oil is a memory. Preserved each fragrance, a story told without words. She dabs a drop of lotus oil onto your palm, and you rub it into your skin. The scent lingers, delicate and enduring, like the faintest touch of a flower. She smiles, a private smile, as if sharing a secret. You feel a deep gratitude, not for the oil itself, but for the care in the gesture, the humanity behind it. The day passes in a soft rhythm. You follow her to workshops where artisans inlay lapis into golden bands, their hands moving with steady patience. You pause beside a young woman shaping a bead of glass over a flame, her face serene in her work. Nefertiti kneels beside her, watching the molten glass cool into something beautiful. You watch too, and in that moment time feels unhurried, infinite. Later, you both walk through shaded arcades where the air hums with distant voices and the cooing of doves. You sit together beneath a fig tree, its branches heavy with fruit. Nefertiti reaches up, plucks a ripe fig, and offers it to you. You bite into it, tasting the soft sweetness, feeling the juice on your tongue. She takes one too, and you share. A smile that feels as old as the world as evening approaches. A faint breeze sweeps through the city, carrying with it the scent of the river and the murmur of distant drums. Lanterns are lit one by one, their light spilling softly onto the stone. You walk with her along the temple walls, tracing your hand along the carvings. The symbols glow faintly in the lantern light, alive with meaning. Nefertiti stops before one carving a depiction of the Aten's rays touching the heads of children. She places her palm over the image, and you place yours beside hers. You feel the stone's coolness, the hum of centuries. She whispers a prayer, not for herself, but for those yet to come. You close your eyes, letting her words move through. You like water through reeds. Night falls gently, covering the city like a soft veil. You return to the garden where the fountain sings its eternal song. Nefertiti sits beside the water, her reflection shimmering in the lantern glow. She hums her familiar tune, the melody weaving through the night air, carrying you toward rest. You recline on the smooth stone bench, letting your head rest against the wall. The air is cool, scented with night-blooming jasmine. The stars appear. Overhead, countless and steady, and you feel as though each one is listening. Each one a witness to this quiet moment. Your eyes grow heavy as her song continues. You feel the day melt away, the river, the oil's fragrance, the soft sound of distant laughter, all blending into a single thread of memory. You feel safe, held by her presence, by the steady rhythm of the city's heart. Sleep drifts over you like a tide, and as you slip under, you know that you are part of her legacy now, part of the gentle mystery she carries, part of the endless story whispered beneath the stars. The night has been long and soft, like a woven cloth wrapping you in warmth. When you open your eyes, the first light of dawn has already touched the walls with a pale gold glow. You sit quietly for a moment, listening. Somewhere, water trickles. A bird calls once, softly. The air feels cool against your face, carrying the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers fading back into sleep. You rise and step outside. The city lies before you, still resting, still breathing slowly. A thin mist hangs over the courtyards, turning lanterns into blurred orbs of light. The scent of fresh earth rises from the gardens, mingled with the faintest trace of incense left. From last night's prayers, Nefertiti stands at the edge of the great plaza, her silhouette framed by the soft dawn. Her robe is simple linen, her hair loose and catching the light like threads of dark silk. You move toward her slowly, your feet almost silent on the smooth stone. She hears you and turns, her eyes calm, her smile gentle, as though she has been expecting you. You stand beside her in silence for a long time. The horizon is a canvas of muted colors, the sun still hidden but near. Workers begin to emerge in the distance, their figures small against the growing light. A priest lights a small brazier, and the faint tendrils of smoke curl upward, carrying a fragrance of myrrh into the air. Nefertiti looks at you and speaks softly, her voice a thread of sound in the morning stillness. She tells you that the city is always changing, that stone weathers and colors fade, but there are things that remain untouched, the kindness passed from one heart to another, the soft prayers whispered when no one is near, the way light falls. On the river at dawn, you feel your chest expand with her words. You look around you at the unfinished statues, at the palms bending gently in the wind, at the temple walls painted with rays of sun, and you understand what she means, that the true legacy is not in what endures in stone, but in what endures in spirit. She leads you then through the quiet avenues one last time. You walk past gardens where morning dew sparkles on leaves. You pass under colonnades where swallows nest, their calls bright and fleeting. Every sound, every shadow feels like it belongs to something eternal. In a shaded courtyard, you pause. By a low wall. Nefertiti rests her hand on it, tracing the carvings lightly with her fingers. You do the same, feeling the coolness of the stone, the grooves worn smooth by years of touch. She whispers a blessing over it, not for herself, but for all who will walk here in years to come. You follow her into a small chamber open to the sky. The wind moves softly through, stirring the linen curtains. In the center is a pool, its surface still, reflecting the pale blue of the waking day. Nefertiti kneels beside it, dipping her hands into the water, letting it run slowly through her fingers. You kneel with her, watching the ripples move outward, carrying fragments of light. She speaks again, so softly you almost lean closer to. Here she says that even when her name is only a faint echo, even when the city is only sand and shadow, these moments, these quiet mornings, these prayers, whispered into the wind, will remain somewhere, carried in the hearts of those who listen. The words settle over you like a gentle rain. You feel something shift within you, a stillness, a peace that reaches deeper than thought. The sun finally lifts over the horizon, spilling light across the temple roofs, the gardens, the avenues. The city wakes slowly, voices rising in soft greetings, the sound of footsteps brushing against stone. Nefertiti stands, and you rise with her. Feeling the light warm your face, she leads you back toward the heart of the palace, where the great balcony overlooks the river. You step out onto it, the wind lifting strands of her hair, the lanterns extinguished now in favor of the sun's glow. The river glimmers far below, calm and endless, carrying secrets toward distant lands. You both stand there quietly, letting the moment stretch. Then she turns to you, her eyes filled with something beyond words, gratitude, farewell. A blessing wrapped in silence. Her voice is low and melodic when she speaks at last. She thanks you for walking beside her, for seeing not only the city, but the soul within it. She says that when you return to your own world, you will carry a piece of this place within you, in the way you breathe, in the way you notice light falling on a wall, in the way you find peace in the smallest things. You feel your throat tighten with emotion, but it is a soft feeling, not sorrow. You bow your head slightly, and she reaches out, brushing her fingers lightly against your shoulder. A touch as gentle as the dawn itself. The wind moves softly around you. The city hums with life below, and Nefertiti smiles, a smile that holds centuries. You take a long, deep breath. The air tastes of river mist and warm stone. You feel the rhythm of the world slow and steady in your chest. She begins to hum once more, that same ancient tune, the melody that has carried you through nights and days, through gardens and temples, through questions and quiet truths. You close your eyes, letting the sound surround you, letting it seep into your bones. The tune softens, fades, becomes one with the sound of the river and the wind. You feel yourself growing lighter, drifting inward, the warmth of the sun on your face, the calm presence beside you. You feel your breath deepen, your body relax, your heart open to the gentle mystery of all you have seen. And as the city hums and the light grows stronger, you hear her final whisper, soft and close, rest, now, and remember. The words wrap around you like a tender veil. You let them carry you, sinking deeper and deeper into the calm, the memory, the timelessness of her world. The lantern of day rises higher. The city becomes a soft blur, and you close, your eyes completely held in peace, held in her legacy. Good night.